How's it going, everyone? A lot of news that people were talking about in the gaming world over the weekend is the Xbox Series price increases, and I think enough people have given their takes on that. Obviously, I will give mine as well. But I think it's emblematic of an issue that you have to accept going into the next generation of consoles and just gaming in general right now, and that is the rising cost of gaming across the board. These consoles are getting expensive, and when it comes to Xbox in a vacuum, I think a lot of people are just using this price increase to dunk on Xbox. Guys, we've done that enough, and I certainly will be doing a little bit of that, but I also think this is emblematic of a larger issue that is going to be in gaming going into the next few years. And already it exists right now, but I think it's going to get worse and worse. So first of all, if you're not aware of the price increases, Microsoft will increase the price of the Xbox Series consoles in the United States once again on October the 3rd. So if you do want a Series console until October 3rd, you can pay the first price increase prices. So the Xbox Series S 512GB was $380. It will be going to $399.99. The Series S 1TB was $430. It'll be going to $449.99. The Xbox Series X was $549.99. That's for the digital-only console. It'll be going to $599.99. The Xbox Series X, which went from $500 to $600, will now be going to $650. Yes, the Series X literally came out at $500 5 years ago. 5 years ago, and now it's 30% more expensive than what it was at launch. Okay, and then the Series X 2TB Galaxy Black console will be going from $730 to $800. Yes, the Series X 2TB is more expensive than the PlayStation 5 Pro. Figure that one out. I don't know if PlayStation price increase are gonna be coming as well. Nintendo hasn't upped the price of the Switch 2 yet, but they upped the price of the Switch 1. I could see a Switch 2 price increase coming next year, but we'll see about all of that. Now, one vantage point to think about from this is that remember that Microsoft, I believe they really aren't in a position to desperately win you over into their console ecosystem. I believe that Microsoft's belief is now, if you want an Xbox that badly, you'll pay the premium to buy an Xbox. We don't want to sell the console at a loss, which in the past, when that heated battle between PlayStation and Xbox was ongoing, they would cut costs. They would put discounts out there so they could draw you into that ecosystem, and hopefully they'll make all their money on the back end from the game sales and the game revenue, subscriptions, things of that nature. That isn't as paramount for Microsoft anymore. And while you might be like, okay, that's wild that Microsoft is just going to absolutely skyrocket their prices. Obviously, the economic state is a big factor of that as well. I don't know what the profit margin on the Xbox Series X and S are after the price increases, but I imagine they're making money off the consoles. They're not going to sell the console at a loss, and I would imagine the consoles are profitable. I know in the past consoles have been sold at a break even as well. I believe the PlayStation 4, when it initially released, it was very close to a break even, but the console manufacturers were willing to do that in that era because they were very much focused on getting you into that ecosystem. Well, Microsoft getting away from that absolute focus of drawing you into the ecosystem also lets Sony put the foot off the gas, and they can realize, hey, we can up our costs as well. That's why competition is such a good thing. I know most of you guys can utilize a functioning brain cell and figure all of this out and realize that competition is such a healthy thing for the game space and the console space, but PlayStation not having that, yes, this is an opportunity for a lot of people to dunk on Xbox. However, if you don't think that this is going to come to PlayStation as well, if not this generation, think about the PlayStation 6. What is the PlayStation 6 about to launch at? At minimum, I have to believe it's going to be $700. Microsoft is selling a Series X, the console that came out at $500 5 years ago at $650. Are you telling me the PlayStation 6 isn't going to be more than $650? I would have to believe that it is. And there comes a point where these price points are just insane. Now, when it comes to the PlayStation 6, that initial wave of those consoles are going to sell out regardless. We already know that's going to happen. This is what I believe is going to happen in 2027 or whenever they decide to release the PS6. The price point is going to get unveiled. It's going to be like $700, $750, maybe even $800. Maybe they'll have a variety in terms of the options that are available. A digital-only console for $600, $700, and maybe with the disc drive if you want to buy that as well. It's a separate add-on. That'll juice it up to $800, $850. I don't know. But people will bug out about the price point being like, I'm done with gaming, etc., and then, you know, people will get ablaze on social media and not realize that that's a small portion of people, but at the same time, the launch of the console, everybody's gonna buy it, and it's gonna sell out everywhere, because that's what happens with literally every console launch, and then another group of people are gonna come out, oh, everybody was bugging out about the price point, but the PS6 still sold out at launch, and then, you know, the price point is gonna settle in, people are gonna be gated out of buying the console because the price is so high, and I believe at a certain point the PlayStation 6 is going to be pretty easy to get right after launch, much like the Switch 2 is now. Yes, the Switch 2 sold out everywhere at launch and it's doing fairly well, but nowadays, a couple months after release, and everybody saw that this was going to happen, it's not like it was going to be sold out everywhere. You can get a Switch 2 pretty freaking easily now. The same thing is going to happen with the PlayStation 6, and it's that settling point. Are people going to end up buying a PlayStation 6 or the next Xbox once the initial wave of consoles sell, which they always will sell because you have a hardcore audience that audience has disposable income, or they don't give a damn. They'll figure out a way to get the money to buy the PlayStation 6, but generally speaking, there's enough people with disposable income that are into gaming that are going to spend that premium, get a couple of big launch games. Hell, you don't even need that many big launch games because there's that aspect of FOMO in there as well. It's very easy at this point in time to sell the initial wave of consoles. You don't need much. The fact it's the PlayStation 6, it'll sell unless you price it absolutely. Like, if it's $1,500, alright, that's just ridiculous. I don't think they're gonna go that route, but I do think it's gonna be done from a vantage point of, hey, Xbox isn't that big of a threat to us. Their model is a little bit different. Price it a little bit higher, sell your initial wave, but I am curious where it's going to settle on. On top of that, game price points are going up. Even if you look at that $70 price point and be like, hey, Borderlands 4 was $70. Sure, it was $70, but they're getting a little bit more creative of how they up the price points. The Super Deluxe Edition of Borderlands 4 really had so much relevant content attached to it, and it was $130. I believe the Super Deluxe Edition for Borderlands 3 was $100. So while a lot of publishers are still too afraid to up that base $70 price point to $80, they'll up the price point other ways, whether it be fake early access, whether it be relevant content tied to higher tier editions that are getting more and more expensive. And at some point, if Nintendo was gonna up the price of Mario Kart World to $80 and, you know, Zelda Next Gen at $80, other publishers will up certain games to $80 as well. However, I think that is something they have to be selective about as well. You know, there are only a couple consoles that'll exist, the PlayStation and Xbox, and again, Nintendo's out there, but again, they exist on an island of their own. And as far as actual games coming out, there's so many games that come out that there's a lot of competition for your dollar for what games you play. And I think $80 games or $90 games, $100 games, whatever the case may be, that is going to push some people away outside of the big games like GTA 6, Mario Kart, God of War, like games at that level, games of that ilk. Okay, people will pay a premium. I think, you know, some games we have to be a little bit selective on what we price them at, but consoles themselves, I think, are getting more and more expensive, and I see the comment section so often about people, whenever I talk about price points and things getting more and more expensive, people legitimately in my comment section, that's a small sample size, I totally get that, but people talking about how they're done with gaming, that this is their last generation, and that's just kind of depressing to see. People that are quitting gaming outright, even if it is a small portion of people, just the fact that you're being priced out of gaming, that is depressing, and I would offer you guys this. Don't quit gaming. The PlayStation 5 is still going to be supported for a long time. If you have a PS5, stick with the PS5. You have a plethora of games in your backlog. Hell, play older games. There's an option to continue gaming. You don't have to play the newest games that exist. And I know that's easy for me to say as somebody with this channel and has so much blessed opportunities to play all of the new games that come out. But at the same time, some of the best games that I play in any given year are older games, are games that I go back and play. I just played through Infamous 1 earlier this summer because, you know, the summer is my personally one of my favorite times of the year since I do play so many of the new games that come out. The summer is always this quiet period that I'm able to go back and play some older games, and I went back and played Infamous 1, and man, what a fantastic experience that was, going back and playing Infamous 1. Played Dragon Age Origins, played Prototype. I was essentially reliving 2009, and it was an awesome time, and those games are available fairly cheap. I'm not saying go ahead and dig out a PlayStation 3, but the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, you know, the consoles you do have at your disposal, play a lot of those older games in the backlog. You don't have to pay $130 for all the Super Deluxe editions that come out. And on top of that, I've had comments of people saying that they're still on the PS4 and they're enjoying their time on that. I still think there's an opportunity to play games at great prices, and you can pick up the next-gen console when it is going down in price, when the economic situation gets better, which, who knows? Again, that is far out of my pay grade to assess the current economic situation of the world and the various regions of the world. Like, some of you guys asked me to break that down and give you guys my takes. So, bro, I'm a dude that talks about video games on YouTube. Like, you guys gotta relax on the type of stuff that I'm gonna cover on this channel, and whether or not I should even be in a position to cover certain topics on this channel, because I'm not there as far as my comprehension of the world, alright? There's people that are far more educated in certain topics than me, and let them break it down. You guys don't need, like, I'll break down various things about gaming, and that's my area of expertise. I'm not gonna break down the economic climate of, you know, the world right now. Can't really do that, but I can tell you this, that for those of you that are gonna be priced out going into the future, and just be ready for it. Be ready for a $700, $800 PS6, because look at these price points of the Xbox consoles. This is crazy, and yeah, it's easy to dunk on Xbox right now, but this is going to be emblematic of a larger issue that is going to be prevailing throughout the next several, however many years, and, you know, I think it is going to be happening to the PS6. Who knows? Maybe they'll up the price of the PlayStation 5 again, because the pressure isn't really there anymore for PlayStation to keep a lower priced console in terms of being competitive. However, there does get a certain point, it doesn't matter about competition anymore. It matters about literally pricing people out of getting the console. And, you know, the Series S is still available for $400, but that's still a hefty price. When Series S came out 5 years ago at $300, so that's seeing an over 30% increase. The Series X seeing a 30% increase 5 years into the generation. Look at the PlayStation 3. When the PlayStation 3 came out in 2006, it came out at like, what, $599 US. By 2011, you guys, the PlayStation 3 was like $249 because it came out in 2009, they came out with the PlayStation 3 Slim. That was $299.99. So by 2009, 3 years after the PS3's launch, there was a 50% cut. And then by 2011, I'm sure you were able to get the bundles for like $249.99 during Black Friday and whatnot. And now, 5 years after the release, 30% increase instead of a 50% decrease. That's the world we're living in right now, and it is insanity. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And again, this is not just consoles. This is the games as well. While games, they're a little bit more creative, since I know they are terrified of upping that base price point to $70 or to $80 right now, because they know a lot of people would say no to games. Consoles, it's a little bit different, since you kind of need a console to just get into gaming, or you buy a PC, but you kind of need that console. And the options as far as what consoles to get, it's not like there's a ton. There's two. And again, Nintendo kind of on an island on their own, but there's two major ones in Xbox and PlayStation. As far as the games are concerned, there's a billion games coming out every week. There's millions of older games that exist that are constantly getting discounted. I understand why they're a little bit more, you know, they're a little bit more hesitant to up the price of the base prices at least to $80, but they're getting creative with it. Super Deluxe Editions for $130, Ubisoft Gold Editions, Ultimate Editions, $110, $130. Look, I'm excited for Digimon Story Time Stranger. That game's got an Ultimate Edition for $120. And, you know, relevant content tied to those editions. That's something that people need to be mindful of. Fake early access. Look at what Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 tried to do with day one locked classes. Obviously, they went back on that, but that's things that these developers and publishers look at to do to increase the potential of you buying the higher tier editions without raising the price point of the base edition. That's how they get a little bit more creative with it. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.